US cents, 82 euro cents and 69 pence sterling. For more on finance, we're joined by Rod North, the Executive Director at Bourse Communications. Rod, lovely to see you.
Good morning.
A nice little fillip yesterday after the closure of the across Easter. Yes,
we saw the market just rise a little bit, and we'll probably get some more gains today off the back of Wall Street. But, I suppose the focus is really going to be, now on, where sort of the economy is going to go from here. And it's been quite interesting sort of just looking at, all those results that are coming out. We're seeing quite a bit of takeover activity at the moment, and we should be hearing something today about Billabong, which has been a bit of a roller coaster ride since sort of last year when, a number of buyers were prepared to pay sort of $3.30 a share. They're now looking at $1.10, but perhaps even revising that lower because Billabong's share price sort of closed, before it went into a trading hold at 78 cents. So it just shows you it's very difficult sometimes to put a valuation on companies in this sort of market climate because, you've got to try and work out where their earnings are going to be in the next few years.
And that's tricky. Now, the RBA board met and, as expected, did absolutely nothing about interest rates yesterday, but the jury's still out on whether there'll be another rate cut this year.
I think that's right, and I think there's still a number of sort of mitigating factors that are in play. I mean, we're sort of looking at benign inflation at the moment. There's still some concern about the jobs outlook, so, that could still be a factor sort of weighing on what the Reserve Bank will do. And of course, our dollar just keeps staying up there at a very high level, and even after the announcement yesterday, it sort of went up a bit more. So I think sort of long term, the key thing is trying to get that dollar down at some point, but the Reserve Bank really only has its power through its monetary policy to lower rates, and at the moment I think it's happy to just sort of see what other positive news might sort of flow from quite a significant drop over the last year or so of 1.75% to the current rate. And there is schools of thought sort of thinking maybe this is where it's going to stay, and this base is perhaps going to maybe move upwards over the next year or two. Because one of the things that sort of interests me is looking at what's happened with mortgages, and in the last month we've seen 1 in 3 people take out fixed rate mortgages.
So that's a reflection of that uncertainty.
Isn't it? And it's interesting because most people usually stay variable because, if you look back over history, that's generally a better position to be in. But when you take out a fixed rate mortgage, say for 2 years, which some banks have been offering under 5%, that's not too bad, because with the current variable rate of 6.4% around that level at the moment, you'd be thinking, well, in 2 years' time, where are variable rates going to be? And if you're locked in at, sort of say, 4.9%, I think you're looking pretty good. So,
so people have made their own calls really on what the Reserve Bank's going to do.
They have. So they're sort of saying, well, we're quite happy to lock into certainty, and then it doesn't matter too much, where rates go, over the next year or two. But my view is still that rates will stay around the sort of current level of 3%, with the potential, depending on what happens, because there's still got sort of issues happening in the world which may create a bit of contagion. And of course, until the elections are resolved here and we have a government with a majority, I think, businesses are still largely sitting on their hands.
Yep.
And of course, housing prices also just sort of muddling along, not quite sure where to go.
But we saw a bit of an increase, which was a positive sign of 1.3%. So home values are up 4.7% since sort of May last year. So that's actually not been too bad a sign. And these are some of the things that the Reserve Bank is sort of looking at, which is probably why, it will perhaps keep rates around the current level for a while.
Good to see you, Rod. Thank you.
Nice tie, by the way. Is it grasshoppers?
Yeah. No, Venice.
The Venice.
Gondolas. We like gondolas.
They look like grasshoppers. Very nice grasshoppers.
Gold embellished grasshoppers.
I think we'd like to be in Venice.
I'd love to be in Venice.
Beautiful. And blue again.
Yeah, it's a running theme, Rob.
It is.
Thanks for playing along.
Coming up, more on the Royal Commission into child abuse, which